Take me back to Mexico, that Cancun sun would turn to sun. We're high on, want to ride with me. Take me back to Mexico, that Cancun sun would turn to sun. We're high on, want to ride with me.
Today we're setting on a marvelous journey to the hidden gem of Mayan Peninsula, the town of Tulum. I know you probably haven't heard of it before, as I myself only recently discovered it. But let me assure you, it's a place of incredible beauty and untouched natural wonders. Think wild landscapes, crystal clear water and plenty of unanswered questions. Why is Tulum so popular among wealthy individuals? Why do people call it the second Ibiza and the Mexican Ubud? Why do beachfront huts vary from $500 to $15,000 a night? Why is there always a long line for a photo at the entrance of a restaurant? Why has the beach been covered in seaweed since 2015? Why are many people heavily investing here? As you can see, I have a long list of questions, and I promise to find answers to them all. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video.
Tulum is located on the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, within the Riviera Maya resort area, about 75 miles away from Cancun Airport. There are 3 different places called Tulum, so let's break it down. First, there's the town of Tulum, also known as Tulum Pueblo. It's a small town with a population of around 40,000, mostly involved in tourism-related activities. There, you'll find numerous souvenir shops, markets, supermarkets, cafes, restaurants, and hotels. You can also find pretty affordable accommodation, starting from $40 per night for a room. To get to the beach, you can either ride a motorcycle or take a taxi. Then, there's the Tulum Playa Resort area. This is a place that attracts tourists from all around the world. Tulum's beach, located 4 miles away from the town itself, is considered one of the most beautiful in the world, and rightfully so. The white, powdery sand and turquoise sea are a sight to behold. You won't find anything quite like it, except perhaps in the Maldives. Lastly, there's the Tulum Archaeological Complex. It's an ancient Mayan city, the only one in the Caribbean coast, and it has remained almost unchanged to this day. And now a bit about Tulum's history. It all began in the 70s, when Mexican authorities decided to turn the empty northwestern part of the Yucatan Peninsula into a resort area. And it ended up being a highly successful experiment. Nowadays, 6 million tourists visit Cancun's beaches each year. And in the former fishing village of Playa del Carmen, you'll find at least 4 Starbucks shops every 10 blocks. The beaches south of Cancun were renamed the Mayan Riviera. Back in the 1970s, Tulum served as a stop for tourist buses, and travelers would be dropped off here for a couple of hours to see the ancient Mayan fortress ruins by the sea. That's all there was to it. Unless travelers had a reason to stray from the route, there wasn't much else to do. Hammocks on the beach used to cost around $10 per night, and you could even sleep for free under the stars at the ruins. Sounds like a dream to me. But then the 2000s rolled around, and Tulum was suddenly a much more popular area. Fashion photographers started doing their photo shoots there, and celebrities from North America, the US in particular, became aware of its beauty. Gradually, Tulum became this trendy destination, attracting everyone from fashion designers to businessmen and entertainers. Over the years, it saw the opening of spas, high-end hotels, and fancy restaurants. A Portuguese lawyer who once came to Tulum looking for a better life even created a community that became the spiritual heart of the resort. It focused on ceremonies involving cacao, yoga, and nudism. And as the locals say, their building's roof was decorated with pubic hair, which is most likely not too far from the truth. Some tourists who have been to Bali claim that Tulum is just as exotic. However, for me, that's up for debate, especially when it comes to pricing, service, and internet access. The beach is the perfect place to witness the growth of Tulum's tourism industry. Near the ruins, you'll find the Papaya Playa Project Hotel. In 2019, 22 healers specializing in biomagnetism, aura readings, Reiki massage, and numerology came here for the Caribbean Health Day. Another resort called Azulik offers villas at a staggering rate of $4,000 per night. Essentially, Tulum has become a prime example of the Instagram effect, or one of its victims, depending on how you look at it. A striking example for me was the entrance to the Raw Love restaurant in the hotel zone, known for its art installation right at the entrance. So, early in the morning, crowds of people start gathering there for an opportunity to take a photo, because it's nearly impossible to get there during the day. Those tourists most likely spend hours waiting. As I was driving to the Mistikiq Beach each morning, and as I was returning in the evening, I couldn't help but smile seeing all those people standing in incredibly long lines just to take a photo. It reminds me of a similar scene at the Lempuyang Temple in Bali. There were around 300 people waiting in line just to take an Instagram photo. The high season in Tulum lasts from November to April. During these months, it rarely rains, so the heat is a lot easier to bear. From late spring to mid-autumn, there are frequent heavy rainfalls that increase the humidity in the air. The temperatures can rise up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, making it quite hot and humid. Also, from July to October, it's the hurricane season. And let me tell you guys, it's brutal. Because in October 2022, my wife Julia and I experienced a big one called Zeta. Honestly, those memories will stay with us forever. We were traveling from Mexico City to Playa del Carmen in the Yucatan Peninsula. And as we were getting closer to the peninsula, we encountered an insanely strong storm. So we had to stay and go through it in the Playa del Carmen. Our hotel room was our shelter, and we used towels to block the water that was coming in through the windows. As you can see, we made it and survived. But we also witnessed the aftermath and destruction around us when the sun finally came out. Afterwards, the locals told us that hurricanes like that actually happen quite often, but that never stops tourists from visiting. The beaches of Tulum are incredibly beautiful and are considered to be the most stunning on the Caribbean coast. The entire beach area is covered in fine coral sand and surrounded by lush greenery. This creates a unique atmosphere of being one with nature, in contrast to Cancun's beaches, which are filled with tall hotel buildings. So which beach should you choose? The beaches of Tulum are divided into the northern and southern parts and are separated by a cape. It's pretty easy to get to any beach from Tulum town. The main road to the beaches splits at a roundabout. If you go right, you'll reach the southern beach, and if you go left, you'll find the northern beach. Now, the North Beach of Tulum is probably one of the most beautiful public beaches in the world. I can personally vouch for that. It stretches for 2 miles and includes several small beaches. Near the ruins, you'll find Santa Fe Beach, followed by Paraiso and Las Palmas. All of these are public beaches, so they're open to anyone. You can rent a spot with chairs and umbrellas for a fee, or you can simply bring your own towel if you feel like it. Unlike the southern beach, the northern beaches of Tulum are not packed with hotels, so they're a lot wilder, more authentic, and quiet. Plus, they're wider, giving you more space to settle in and relax away from the busy beach clubs. So, here are some clear advantages of the northern beaches of Tulum. Firstly, they offer easy access to public beaches and parking. For the latter, we paid around 200 pesos per day, which is about $10. Moreover, the beach clubs, bars, and restaurants here are more reasonably priced compared to the South Beach. The Mayan ruins are also close by. You can take a local tour, hop on a boat to get closer to the reef, and go snorkeling. If you're lucky, you might even spot green turtles and stingrays. We tried it once and had an amazing time seeing both. Another thing is that the sea here is a lot calmer, making it perfect for families with kids. The disadvantages? Well, the northern beaches of Tulum can get quite crowded during peak season. Also, there are limited beach chairs and changing facilities. Although, for many tourists, I believe this could be an interesting bonus. So, come on over, folks, and check it out yourself. The southern beach of Tulum is famous for its luxury hotels and expensive beach clubs. It's not easy for regular tourists to get access to it, unless they're staying in an expensive beachfront hotel, as the resorts here want to maintain an exclusive feel for their guests. And yeah, this exclusiveness is not genuine. However, it's definitely worth a visit. The sand is great, and the water is stunningly beautiful. You can stay at a small, stylish hotel, or rent a beanbag or beach bed in one of the famous beach clubs of Tulum. Though there are no beach chairs available for some reason. But be prepared to spend anywhere from $25 to $100 per person a day, food and drinks included. I repeat, per person a day. The advantages of the southern beaches include the wonderful white sand, fewer people, many excellent beach clubs, and of course, kiteboarding. What are the downsides? Well, there's hardly any public access. Finding parking is very difficult, and it's also quite expensive. I've heard stories of people being charged $100 just for parking alone. I actually suspect they were just ripped off. The locals told me that here it's similar to India. If you have lighter skin, things will be twice as expensive, or even 5 times. I remember some instances when they tried to charge me for parking, and it was ridiculously overpriced. But once I showed them that I knew the actual price, they just suddenly agreed with me. Another downside is that the cost of renting a cabana at a beach club is really high. We mostly spent our time on the southern beach because the apartments where we stayed offered free access to their beach clubs. Plus, they had their own parking, which was a huge advantage. We'll talk more about accommodation later on. There's a narrow and bumpy road that runs along the seaside in Tulum. On one side, you have the beaches and hotels, and on the other side, there are a few shops and cafes. If you're not staying right by the beach and using a car to get around, be prepared to spend around 30 to 40 minutes in traffic to reach the beach.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Riding a motorcycle is a much faster option, so many tourists choose to bike to the beach instead. One common problem with all the beaches in Tulum is seaweed. We didn't really mind it much though. But I'm not a standard tourist, and neither are my children, wife, and mom who accompanied us. Since 2015, Tulum has been dealing with an issue that is sargassum seaweed. It's a big concern because it affects the beautiful image of Tulum that you see on Instagram. The peak season for seaweed is from May to September, but it can still be found at other times too. To tackle this problem, they installed barriers near the coast to try to keep the seaweed away from the beaches. However, during storms, these barriers don't work too well, and storms are quite common in Mexico. So, you'll often spot piles and piles of seaweed. The hotels hire people to collect it and bury it in the sand. But this method isn't ideal, because it creates some very unpleasant smells as the seaweed decomposes. For that same reason, the upscale hotels instead choose to transport the seaweed away from the beach area. Where should you stay? In the hotel area of Tulum, you won't find large, all-inclusive resorts like in Cancun or Playa del Carmen. Instead, Tulum offers small, eco-friendly boutique hotels surrounded by the jungle. These hotels focus on providing spa treatments, healing sessions, yoga classes, and more, emphasizing your spiritual well-being. Keep in mind that these accommodations are primarily aimed at well-off individuals, as the average cost of these eco-hotels by the beach ranges from $500 to $2,000 per night, and that's excluding meals. Some options can go as high as $10,000 or even $15,000, catering to those seeking the utmost luxury. For instance, there's the Azulik Hotel, an eco-resort with charming bungalows and villas topped with thatched roofs. Nestled amidst the lush jungle, it grants direct access to the beach. However, it's important to note that there are no air conditioning or TVs in the rooms, but they do provide fans and chargers. This hotel caters exclusively to adults seeking a tranquil getaway. Room rates during the off-season start at $800 per night. But during our visit, which coincided with the high season, the cost skyrocketed to $4,000. So, we ended up discovering a more budget-friendly hotel that opened quite recently called Mistikiq Beach, right on the beachfront. It was just $200 per night, and although it was a bit further away from the bustling local scene, its beach was our go-to spot almost every single day. In recent years, developers in Tulum have been actively building new neighborhoods in the jungle, around 3 or 4 miles away from the beach. They advertise these new condominiums with promises of a good return on investment. However, only a small part of the construction in the Aldim Azama district is currently finished, making the area appear abandoned. Wide, empty roads run through the sparsely populated condos. Many land lots in the jungle between the town and the beach have been sold. But they're just waiting for permission to clear the jungle, which is quite unfortunate. It's expected that by 2030, the population of Tulum will grow from 40,000 to 300,000 residents, making it a full-fledged city. During our stay, we rented a 2-bedroom apartment measuring 1,300 feet in the secure community of Mistikiq Tulum for just $170 a day. And it's quite a spacious apartment in a new condominium. Also, it's recommended to rent a car to reach the beach, although there is a free shuttle bus that runs twice a day between the beach and the condos. Although, having your own car is always more convenient, as it gives you the freedom to explore at your own pace. We had researched various accommodation options, primarily looking at apartments on Airbnb. There was a great selection to choose from to suit different preferences. The cost of staying in the new areas ranges from $80 to $300 per day, depending on the number of rooms and the facilities offered within the complex. The most affordable options can be found in the town of Tulum Pueblo itself, where a separate room can cost as low as $40 per day. Many locals get around the town using bicycles, and bike rentals are available for approximately 150 Mexican pesos, which is about $7. As for us, we rented a spacious family car, a Dodge Grand Caravan, for 13 days, and the total cost including full insurance with no deposit was $869. We rented it from local providers, by the way. But later on, we discovered that there are local residents in Tulum, Cancun, and Playa del Carmen who offer much lower car rental rates for their personal use cars. They ask 2 or even 3 times less. I'm sure you can find such options if you look into it. Having a car gives you many advantages, allowing you to easily reach the beach, visit shops, restaurants, go on tours, or enjoy a spa whenever and wherever you want. In short, I strongly recommend renting a car to explore all of Tulum on your own, or even venture further out to discover the beauty of Mexico itself. Food. Where can you go to find good places to eat in Tulum? Honestly, Tulum is a paradise for foodies. You can find food to suit any taste and budget here. From traditional Mexican street food like tacos, to homemade Italian pasta and trendy vegan dishes, there's something for everyone in this town. While Mexican cuisine is the dominating one in Tulum, you can also find restaurants serving European, Indian, and many other cuisines. As Tulum has become popular among celebrities from New York, the restaurants, bars, and cafes have also changed to cater to their needs. For example, if you want to have dinner at a trendy restaurant in the hotel zone, expect to pay at least $80 to $100 per person. And that doesn't even include drinks. However, we mostly ate at cozy restaurants in the Aldea Zama area. One of our favorite places was Chocobar. They serve a generous portion of grilled octopus for just $15. I didn't try it myself, but my family enjoyed it almost every evening. If you're staying in Tulum town, you won't have any trouble finding places to eat. From street vendors to fancy restaurants, there's a wide range of options, and they're 3 times cheaper than similar places in the beach area. For instance, we had a delicious lunch at a local vegan cafe for just about $20. It tasted deliciously homey, which is like $10 per person. There were 3 dishes and a fantastic vegan dessert. We also often used a local Mexican delivery service called Tomato MX, which is similar to Uber Eats. It's actually super convenient. You can choose a restaurant with any price range and cuisine. Just keep in mind that the food might be around 20 to 25% more expensive, and delivery might not always be available due to high demand. When we stayed in apartments with our children, we also often cooked our own meals. Fortunately, there are plenty of large chain supermarkets in Tulum where you can buy fresh produce, fish, and meat. However, the situation with vegetables is not very good. Mostly, they're all genetically modified, so picture onions the size of a human head and absolutely inedible tomatoes and cucumbers. In this case, you need to know the right places and buy from specialized farmers markets. We found a market like that and visited it regularly to buy real, delicious Mexican fruits and vegetables. The vegetable options here are not great, but when it comes to sightseeing in Tulum and the nearby area, it's fantastic. Tulum is a great base for daily trips to ancient Mayan cities, cenotes, nature reserves, and amusement parks. So, what can you do in Tulum besides relaxing on the beach? First, you can explore those ancient cities. This time, we visited 2 archaeological sites, Tulum Ruins and Coba. Tulum is the second most popular tourist destination in the Yucatan Peninsula, after Chichen Itza. And even though the pyramids and the city itself are not as well preserved as Chichen Itza, the landscapes here are breathtaking. They're the main attraction. The ancient city itself is situated on a cliff, offering an amazing view of the turquoise Caribbean Sea. And down below, there's a small bay, where you'll definitely want to spend some time to disconnect from the outside world and enjoy nature. Unfortunately, we couldn't go down to that beach during our visit because it was closed due to the nesting of sea turtles. Tulum is the only Mayan city built by the sea, and it served as a port for the city of Coba. The Tulum ruins are located at the end of the northern Santa Fe Beach, which are open for visitors from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the entrance fee is around 75 Mexican pesos, or $4.50. It's best to go there early, as it's a popular place, and it gets very crowded later in the day. If you want to take photos without crowds of tourists, the earlier you arrive, the better. As they say, the better the picture you took, the more likes you got. About 25 miles away from Tulum, you'll find another city called Coba. It's home to the impressive Great Pyramid, also known as Noche Mul, which stands at a towering height of 137 feet. It's famous for being the tallest pyramid on the Yucatan Peninsula and the second tallest in the world. To reach the top, you'll need to climb a whopping 120 stairs. One thing that sets Coba apart is that it's a bit more secluded compared to the main tourist areas. There are fewer crowds here compared to Chichen Itza. The pyramids of Coba are hidden among dense jungles, and they have an air of mystery that's hard to match. I've visited many pyramids in Mexico, but the ones in Coba really stood out to me. I was particularly impressed by the park, with its many altars, which seemed to hold great significance for the ancient Maya. The pyramid complex is made up of 3 main parts, which are quite spaced out from each other, and walking between them can be quite challenging. So I recommend renting bicycles or using the bicycle rickshaws available at the entrance of the complex. Our kids enjoyed riding bicycles the most, allowing us parents to fully enjoy the tour, while they had fun cycling around the ancient city where the mysterious Maya once lived. What else should you do on your vacation? Take a dip in the cenotes. Cenotes are the top tourist attraction in Tulum, right after the beach, of course. They're natural wells formed from collapsed limestone caves where underground rivers flow. The water in the cenotes is crystal clear and see-through. The most popular cenote in Tulum is Gran Cenote, but it can get really crowded during the day. You should also explore how the present-day Maya, the direct descendants of the ancient civilization, live. The Yucatan Maya, especially in Quintana Roo State, have preserved their cultural heritage more than others. Many of them don't speak Spanish and still communicate in the Yucatec Maya language. At first glance, they may seem to live in very humble conditions, but there's more to it. They believe in having only the necessary belongings in their homes. They measure wealth by the amount of land they own, their crop yields, and livestock. Their homes and clothes look very simple, and education is not a priority for them. Not everyone can read or write. The Maya also don't rely on modern conveniences like gas and electricity. They still cook over an open fire. And instead of beds, both children and adults sleep in hammocks. Yes, those same beach hammocks you take photos in, but for the Maya, those hammocks are their beds. We were also told that they prefer their daily use items like textiles, clothing, and shoes to be homemade, so we couldn't resist buying some souvenirs made by Maya girls. In their not-so-little family, there are 11 girls, and they all go by the name Maria. I still wear the bracelet I bought from them wherever I go. And of course, you also should go snorkeling in Akumal. You should go snorkeling in Akumal as well. Akumal Beach is just 20 miles away from Tulum, located between Tulum and Playa del Carmen. The special thing about this beach is that it's a nesting area for large sea turtles. That's why Akumal literally means turtle place in the local language. Here, you have the chance to observe these amazing creatures in their natural habitat. We decided to take a tour with a local guide, which cost us around $20 per person. We hopped on a boat and sailed closer to the reef, where the guide took us on an underwater tour. The turtles are really friendly and not scared of people at all, so we were able to get really close to them and take some great pictures. Oh, and there are also rays living in this area of Akumal. If you prefer to be independent, you can even go on your own turtle spotting adventure by renting masks and fins. Another thing you can do is visit fun parks like Xcaret and Explore. We took our kids to the Xcaret eco-themed park, which is huge. It's located in beautiful jungles by the Caribbean Sea, and it focuses on nature, as well as Mexican customs and culture. Throughout the day, they have different shows, like horse performances, mariachi bands, traditional Mayan dances, and more. Many attractions are in the jungles, including real Mayan ruins called Xcaret, which the park is named after. You can enjoy the things included in the ticket, which is already a lot, or you can pay extra for more activities. For example, we chose to swim with dolphins. It was really awesome. You can also walk on the seafloor with a special helmet on, or go on a motorboat ride. Our kids absolutely loved going down the river and seeing the Mayan village from the water. At night, there's also a show that shares important stories from Mexico's past. Everything about the park is great. Except for the ticket price, which is around $120 per adult, the expensive extra services, and the number of visitors. And yes, we went during a less busy time when fewer people could travel to Mexico, but there was still quite a crowd. We actually didn't get to see everything we planned, but at least that gives us a reason to come back to Mexico again.
And now, let's talk about the flip side of tourism, the consequences of over-tourism. The thing is, Tulum is suffering from an excessive amount of visitors, constant parties, uncontrolled construction, and environmental problems. In the 90s, even a sandwich left unattended could be stolen by a monkey, but now you won't find any monkeys here. The hotels in Tulum often promote themselves as eco-friendly. However, biologists state that all local hotels are polluting the environment. Tourists behave the same way in nature as they do at parties. Another thing is that Tulum is built on limestone, which has one of the world's largest underground river systems underneath. Only 10% of the city's buildings are connected to proper sewage systems, and many new buildings have no sewage treatment at all. In most cases, they use septic tanks. But due to accident or negligence, a significant amount of waste ends up on the ground and seeps into the water through the porous limestone. As you can see, this is a place where people don't really think about the future. They come here either to relax or make money. That's why the city's problems only concern small groups of activists. Many residents, of course, say they would like to reduce the number of parties, but those said parties bring in the revenue. And in Tulum, people haven't yet learned to put principles ahead of money.